Hey there, I'm Eveline, 33, female, and I love this channel. Hopefully you find my submission interesting enough to post. Growing up, I was surrounded by finance bros and CEOs, the types who only speak stock market jargon and measure success in numbers. My old man even wanted me to take over one of his companies, but you see, that wasn't my jam, not even close. My brothers thought it was just such a shame. They believed I had the brains for it, and I suppose I did, but I just wasn't passionate about running some big conglomerate. I had different dreams that smelled like freshly brewed coffee and old books. So when I turned 24, armed with my business degree, I set out to make those dreams a reality. A quaint town, a cozy cafe, and a library. That was the dream. And you know what? It worked. Business was booming in about a year or so. Maybe too much. People flocked to my little spot like it was the last oasis in a coffee desert. But here's the thing. I didn't want to be swimming in piles of money like Scrooge McDuck. I liked the simplicity, the connection with the community, and the grind. It's just like playing The Sims. Sure, you can cheat for unlimited money, but where's the fun in that? The real joy is in the hustle, the sweat, and seeing your hard work actually pay off. I wanted to downsize, keeping things simple, but luck just wouldn't let me. I was even rejecting business offers that came my way. My patrons would beg me to expand into something bigger, but I didn't want any of that. It's not that I'm ungrateful, but too much success started feeling like a cheat code that I couldn't turn off. Then one day, everything I thought I knew changed and flipped my whole world upside down. Let me set the scene for you. It was a typical day at Nook, the name of my cafe library, and in came some swanky-looking businessman. Now, let me tell you, he looked like he had just strolled out of a boardroom meeting, completely out of place in my quaint little cozy shop. The man was dressed in a business suit, looking like a handsome stranger in a rom-com, but I wasn't going to let the looks fool me. I'd been approached by many businessmen in the past, wanting to transform my cafe into something bigger and better, but those idiots just couldn't understand that I didn't want that. So when I turned them down, things got really ugly. They would threaten me with all sorts of things, saying they'd ruin me, but I would just yell back at them, not scared of their empty threats. So when I saw this man, I met him with some hostility. I thought, great, another business owner wanting to rip the love and soul out of my cafe, replacing it with something soulless like a laundromat. So naturally, I started yelling at him, telling him to leave, and that I wasn't interested in selling my baby. However, my dramatic entrance quickly turned into a comedy of errors. The man, Cleo, wasn't there to snatch away my dreams. He was just a regular guy who just wanted a cup of coffee. Talk about judging a book by its cover. You'd think I'd know better. Obviously, I was mortified, and to make amends, I offered him bottomless coffee for the day. As we started talking, we were clicking, and I didn't want the day to end. Even when I closed up shop, he stayed a while longer, and we were inside chatting away like we were old high school buddies catching up on life. It was effortless. The conversation flowed, and for the first time I felt a connection that I had never experienced before. Who would have thought that the man in the business suit would become the love of my life, turning my cozy cafe and library into the backdrop of our own little love story? Life really does have a funny way of surprising you when you least expect it. Well, as you might have already guessed, not too long after that, we started hanging out more and more, and eventually we started dating. Cleo was my Italian stallion, and he was slowly becoming the love of my life. He had this irresistible charm and that accent. Oh, don't even get me started. We clicked, and before I knew it, we were married. But here's the twist. Cleo's dad, Arnaldo, was not your regular Italian nonno. Arnaldo was a successful entrepreneur himself, and he had this vision for Cleo to join the family business. That meant bidding farewell to our cozy little town and heading to the bustling city. And you know me, I wasn't thrilled about it. I loved my little cafe and library, and the thought of leaving them behind felt like tearing down a part of me. Cleo, I appreciate the offer, but I can't just get up and leave my little haven here. This place is my dream, you know that. Eveline, I get it. Your cafe is amazing, cozy, full of character. But sometimes stepping out of your comfort zone can lead to even greater things. Greater things? I like my life to be simple. Simple is good, but there's a whole world out there waiting for you. Think about it. Expanding could mean more people experiencing the magic you've created here. But what if it loses its magic? What if it becomes just another soulless business? I've seen too many of those growing up, and it can feel so lonely. That's where your passion comes in, Eveline. You've poured your heart into this place, and that essence will stay with you no matter where it goes. Plus, you'd be reaching more people who need that cozy escape. I guess I never thought about it that way. Life is about growth. And I see so much potential in you and your cafe. Imagine the stories you could share with more people. I do love sharing stories. Exactly. Your cafe has its story, but what if it could be a part of a larger narrative? You've got something special, Eveline, and the world should know about it. You make it sound tempting, Cleo, but it's scary. The best things in life are usually, Eveline. You won't be alone in this. I'll be right there with you. But love makes you do crazy things, right? So I agreed. All right, Cleo, let's do it. Let's see where this journey takes us. That's the spirit. Who knows? The next chapter might be even more incredible than the first. I packed my bags, kissed my little town goodbye, and embraced the unknown adventure that awaited us in the city. And let me tell you, city life was a whirlwind. It brought challenges, new faces, and a taste of a lifestyle I didn't really miss, to be honest. But amidst the chaos, one thing remained clear: my love for Cleo and my dream of that quaint cafe and library in a town far, far away. Little did I know, life had more surprises in store for me. Like I said earlier, we moved to the hustling, bustling city life, the Big Apple to be precise, because Cleo and Arnaldo wanted to start a business. But this was more than just starting a business. This was Arnaldo's way of testing his son and seeing if he had what it took to mess with the big boys. Arnaldo was always a tough nut to crack, stern and unyielding in his expectations. Cleo always faced an uphill battle trying to step into the big shoes of his father. I'd see Cleo night after night poring over business plans, trying to be the man his father wanted him to be. You see, Cleo wasn't really the business-savvy type. You know how I said that I had a knack for this life? Like it just seemed that I was destined to be a billionaire businesswoman. Not my words, but my brother's. Yeah, whatever spark I got, Cleo had none of that. It was actually quite sad to see him try so hard for his father's approval, but always fall short. I would comfort him and reassure him that everything would be all right, but Cleo didn't want words. He wanted numbers. He wanted results. I couldn't just stand by and watch him struggle, so I stepped in, showed him the ropes of the trade. Business wasn't just about numbers, it was about passion, caring for the people you worked with and understanding the heartbeat of your community, and that's what really mattered. Of course, Cleo wasn't an overnight success. No, it took time, patience, and a lot of late-night coffee-fueled conversations, but slowly things began to change and things were picking up. He started making decisions that mattered, connecting with people beyond the surface level. It wasn't just about profits anymore. It was about creating something meaningful. Then one day, as I was lazing around at home doing nothing, Arnaldo called me and told me he was at the door. I went to open it for him and he said, "Why, hello, Eveline." "Hey, Dad. Cleo isn't home right now." "That's quite all right. I came to see you." Arnaldo's unexpected visit surprised me. I couldn't help but wonder what business he had with me, especially when it seemed like Cleo was his main focus lately. I let him in, of course, and got him some coffee, and we started with some small talk. At first, I thought he just wanted to catch up with his dear old daughter-in-law, but honestly, I should have known better. The atmosphere in the living room shifted when Arnaldo said he had something serious he wanted to talk to me about. Arnaldo, with a serious face, confessed that he had something important to share with me. "But before I get into that, I just wanted to say thank you." "For what?" "I know it was you who taught my son to not be such a terrible businessman." "What? I didn't do anything. He did it all by himself." Bless your heart, Eveline, but you can't lie to me that easily. Take the compliment. I've known my son since the moment he was born. He didn't have a business-savvy bone in his body. I mean, you have more talent in your finger than he does in his entire body. I know it sounds harsh, but it's the truth. And I'm sure your talents rubbed off on him. Arnaldo went on to explain that he intentionally kept Cleo away from business handbooks, telling him what to do and how to do it, saying that he wanted him to learn the hard way. That way he would be original and authentic to himself and his brand. However, the reality was that Cleo had already learned the ropes thanks to my guidance. I sat there, unsure of how to respond, feeling a mix of pride and guilt for helping Cleo without Arnaldo's knowledge. Now, he's soft. Yeah, sure, he knows how to make better sales than before, but trust me, I can see this going downhill. Why are you telling me all this? And that's when Arnaldo revealed why he came over in the first place. He came to tell me that he was removing Cleo from the family business and replacing him with me as CEO. The offer caught me off guard, and I immediately declined. I couldn't fathom betraying Cleo like that, no matter the potential benefits. Oh, thank you for the offer, but I could never. Cleo loves this company, and this would crush him. Thanks, but no thanks. I thought you might say that. I hate to do this, but this is also the other reason why I came here. To show you this, like I said earlier. Arnaldo pulled out his phone and showed me a video from the company's CCTV cameras. Cleo, unaware of being recorded, was seen bragging to his friends about how he was a better businessman than I could ever be. What the frick? Yeah, she's just at home, you know. I don't know why she hasn't tried to start a business like I told her. It's pathetic, really. She looks like an empty shell of herself. Maybe it's for the best. It's not like she could ever top me when it comes to playing this game. Did you see my pitch from last week? And the sales are going crazy. And that's all because of, points to himself, this guy. They all started cackling like stupid frat bros. And I felt so embarrassed. How could he talk about me this way? Arnaldo, with a stern expression, explained that he wasn't blind to his son's faults. He had hoped Cleo would grow into the role, but the video proved otherwise. He's just a baby, as you can see. And I don't want any babies running my company. That's why I want you to run it, because I'm going to be stepping down. What? Arnaldo, that's insane. How could you leave? The company isn't even 5 years old. Eveline, I have tons of business and even more shares in different companies. I don't need this family business anymore. But just because I don't need it anymore doesn't mean I want to see it fail. I can't believe he said all that. I know this is a lot for you right now, but just think about it, okay? I thought this would be the perfect opportunity for you. Yes, the business is quite big, but I think it would be a nice challenge for you. I know you're still upset about having to leave Nook behind. Maybe this is guilt speaking, but I really want you to get your hands dirty again. You're a beast when it comes to this. You know this. My emotions were a whirlwind as I processed the unexpected turn of events. The offer to take over the family business felt dirty. I told him that I'd think about it, and that's when he went on his merry way to God knows where, probably to start another business or something, since that's all he ever did. When Cleo got back home from work that day, I couldn't help but see him differently. Could you blame me? It turns out I didn't know my husband after all. In the following days, I was acting a bit cold towards Cleo. I couldn't shake off the hurt caused by his words, caught on that stupid video. Cleo, perhaps sensing my change in attitude, attempted to act overly nice, but I wasn't buying his crap any longer. As time passed, my anger and resentment only got worse. The realization that Cleo, my own husband, had spoken so badly of me for the sake of bragging to his cousins and business partners pissed me all the way off. I decided that I would take Arnaldo's offer to replace Cleo in the family business. It felt like the perfect opportunity to prove Cleo wrong. So one morning, I decided to surprise Cleo at the company building. As I walked in, Cleo asked what I was doing there and why I was in a suit, wondering what brought me there. And seizing the moment, I said, Your father has asked me to take your spot. What? And I agreed. What? Dad? What the heck? Sorry, son, but she did teach you everything you know. You told him that? He figured it out on his own. You can't pull one over on me, son. I told you how much I hate handouts. Even if they're information. Why would I keep you when I can just hide the brains behind the operation myself? This is sick, Eva. How could you do this to me? Sorry, babe. That's just how the game goes. Maybe now you'll be the pathetic one who's just a shell of a human. The news hit Cleo like a ton of bricks. I could see the shock and frustration on his face as I confidently put him in his place. Suppressing my laughter, Cleo's friends and cousins witnessed the unexpected power shift. Cleo, unable to find the right words, stormed out of the building in a fit of anger. The tables had turned, and I stood my ground, determined to show Cleo that his betrayal wouldn't break me. I embraced the new role, ready to prove that success could be achieved without belittling those you cared about. Despite the crazy start, my first day at the company went surprisingly well. The team welcomed me warmly, appreciating the change brought about by having a woman in a leadership role. It felt empowering, and I relished the opportunity to prove my capabilities. When I got home that evening, I knew I was going to have to deal with Cleo, but what I wasn't expecting was a pile of ash scattered at the front door. A deep breath and cautious steps led me inside, where I confronted Cleo about it. His response, filled with fury, explained that my actions had ignited his anger. Babe, I know you're hurt. Eveline, you embarrass me in front of my family. How am I ever meant to show my face again? I don't know, Cleo, and I don't care. You should have thought about that before you were crapping on my good name. I helped you, and this is how you repay me? You needed a taste of your own medicine. Cleo started yelling, saying that no one had the right to embarrass him without consequences. You think you're so slick? You think you can get away with this? Well, think again. You'll never be the head of the company. You saw that pile of ash at the door? Well, that was all the documentation I had as CEO. Now you're gone, and there's nothing you can do about it. I'm not going to lie, that caught me off guard, but I wasn't about to let him know that. One thing my dad always hammered into my head, never let them see you sweat, and so I had to act quickly. Instead of panicking, I hatched a plan to manipulate the situation. With a confident smile, I told Cleo that he may have overlooked one crucial detail. I had a copy of a highly incriminating document. Which document? You know, the one that you don't want getting out, the one that can completely ruin your life. You think I didn't know it existed? But I saw it one day and decided to keep my mouth shut because you're my husband and I love you. But now? Well, now I'm not so sure. You're bluffing. You have nothing. Am I? Why don't I call your father and tell him everything I know? The expression on Cleo's face shifted from arrogance to panic as he realized that I was being serious. Mind you, I was actually bluffing, but his worried face told me everything I needed to know. He was hiding something damning, and I was about to get him to expose everything. Cleo's desperation became evident as he begged and pleaded for me not to reveal his secret. Bingo! I kept twisting the knife further and further, and this grown man looked like he was about to cry. How pathetic. The tables had turned, and he found himself at the mercy of the very person he had underestimated. Fed up with his lies and BS, I had no intention of saving him from the consequences of his actions at that point. In a surprising twist, Cleo exposed himself, admitting to embezzling funds from the company with an unsettling nonchalance, claiming, "It wasn't even that big of a deal. I just took a couple of $100,000, that's all." The revelation left me shocked, realizing just how bad his secret actually was. When he saw my face, he knew that I didn't know anything, but now I certainly did, and he looked like he was about to lose his mind. Without wasting any time, I called Arnaldo, informing him of Cleo's actions, burning the documents and confessing to embezzlement. Arnaldo, obviously furious, told me that he was on his way. "What the hell? Why would you do that?" "He needed to know the truth, Cleo. You're a monster." Cleo, now panicking, unleashed his frustration on me, becoming aggressive as he tried to deflect blame. Unfazed by his intimidation tactics, I called him a coward, refusing to shy away under the weight of his drama and anger. Shortly after, Arnaldo arrived, and the atmosphere grew tense with heated Italian exchanges between father and son. I couldn't understand what was going on, but man, did I want to have some popcorn and watch the fight go down. They were all up in each other's faces, and I thought they'd start fighting in a minute. But then Arnaldo said something, and it seemed like the whole world stood still. Whatever Arnaldo said seemed to strike a nerve, causing Cleo to abruptly stop yelling and appear on the verge of tears for the 4th time that day. Arnaldo then switched to English and said, "Get out! You're not welcome here. You're no longer my son." Can you imagine being kicked out of your own home, losing your job, your wife and your family all in one day? It was tough to watch, I'm not going to lie. Part of me even felt bad for the man. But then I remembered all the crap he did, and I stopped feeling bad for him. Cleo's attempts at apologizing fell on deaf ears as Arnaldo remained firm, refusing to accept any words. Instead, he made it clear that Cleo would face the consequences of his actions, stating that he would take him to the police. As they left for the police station, the once lively home grew eerily quiet and empty. The weight of the situation finally settled in, and the gravity of Cleo's actions left such a horrible mark on the family. The following day, Arnaldo reached out to me through a text message revealing a heartbreaking internal struggle. Despite the betrayal, Arnaldo couldn't bring himself to turn his son over to the authorities. Instead, he told Cleo that he was disowned by the family, cutting ties and leaving Cleo to navigate the harsh realities of his choices on his own. Cleo found himself homeless, jobless, and disowned. The consequences of his lies just tainted every aspect of his life. I'm currently working on getting a divorce from the man. Having any associations with him would be bad for business, of course.